Hello everyone, this is the OU Weekly Matchup Show. The last time the Sooners visited Miami, it was 9 months ago when they took on Florida in the BCS National Championship game, and yeah, we all know how that turned out. So let's go ahead and fast forward to the present. Oklahoma, coming off a bye week, gets set to take on the Miami Hurricanes this Saturday night from Miami's Landshark Stadium. It'll be a 7 p.m. Oklahoma kickoff time, and the game will be televised on ABC. OU will enter the game anywhere from a 5 to a 6 point favorite. The Sooners and the Canes, it looked like this was going to be a top 10 matchup. It looked that way until last weekend when Miami got pasted by Virginia Tech. Simply put, it was a reversal of Murphy's Law for the Hurricanes. Anything and everything that could have gone wrong for Miami did go wrong for the Canes. Offensively, couldn't block. Defensively, poor tackling. Special teams, they were dreadful from the word go. Big fat F for Miami in that department. On a very rainy, cold day in Blacksburg, it was Virginia Tech that washed Miami's undefeated hopes away just like that. It was one-sided from the outset of the game. We'll talk more and more about Miami's struggles in just a second, but first, how will Miami enter this particular game against Oklahoma? Did Miami get caught looking ahead to Oklahoma? Was it simply just a bad game for Miami against Va Tech? Did weather play that big of a factor in the loss to the Hokies? You can come up with your own theories on that, but this is what I am going to think about this upcoming game with Oklahoma. I think Miami is going to play better. I say that because I don't think they could have played any worse than they did this past Saturday. Of course, a lot of that you have to credit to Virginia Tech. They're a pretty good football team. But Miami also made a lot of mistakes. And I think this week in practice, I think in film watching, Miami's going to do everything they can to correct that. Plus, you have to remember, they're playing at home this Saturday night. And you always play better in your backyard. It'll be a nationally televised game. It'll be in prime time, so the setting is going to be even more raucous. It's going to be even more electrifying for the home team. Oklahoma cannot think that the Miami team they're going to be seeing this Friday is the same Miami team that a lot of us saw on the tube this past Saturday in Blacksburg, Virginia. That's not going to be the case. I think Miami will come into this game more prepared, and they will come in ready to play. So Oklahoma, they better be ready to play. Otherwise, it'll be a long night for Oklahoma. Now, before we get into the keys in this game, let's go ahead and talk about Sam Bradford, because that's been the big talk on almost every Oklahoma Sooner fan's minds. Will Sam Bradford play? Right now we're broadcasting this show on September the 29th, which is a Tuesday, so there's probably going to be news pretty soon about Sam Bradford and his availability for this game. But as of right now, we don't know. I'm sure the Oklahoma Sooner coaches and Sam Bradford himself knows whether or not he's going to play in this game, but the Sooner coaches smartly, wisely, are keeping tight-lipped about this and aren't going to tell anybody. Not going to tell the media, not going to tell anybody at all. They want to keep Miami guessing. They don't want Miami to know who's going to start at quarterback this Saturday. So as of September 29th, we do not know if Sam Bradford is going to get the start. Obviously, Landry Jones will be the man if Bradford's not 100%. And that's the word that we're hearing, is that Bradford won't play in this game if he is not 100%. And even if he is 100%, how will Bradford play? Because a lot of people automatically are going to think, well, Bradford will just come in and light Miami up. You got to remember, Bradford hasn't played in about a month, so I wouldn't be surprised if Bradford, if he does play, is a little rusty in the beginning. Again, you've been out for about 4 weeks. You're probably not going to look like your natural self after being out for that long. So I think the key in this game for Oklahoma, let's go to key number 1. I think you must hurry Shockey. Shockey Harris, to me, is the key to this ball club. You don't think he's not? Look at what he did against Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago. Georgia Tech came in 14th in the country, came in with a good defense. You know what? Tech could not lay a finger on Harris. Harris had all day to throw, and he had receivers wide open. In fact, Harris could have eaten a ham sandwich and then thrown the ball. He had that much time to throw. But against Virginia Tech, that was not the case. The defensive front of Virginia Tech, led by their everything player, Jason Worlds, their fine defensive end, wreaked havoc on Harris. The entire Virginia Tech defense wreaked havoc on Harris all game long. Harris only completed 9 passes in the loss to the Hokies. 9 of 25. That's 36%. He also threw an interception and lost a fumble early in the game, which led to the Hokies' first touchdown en route to their convincing win. So, I think the key to this game, Oklahoma's got the key. Virginia Tech had a fantastic defensive line. Oklahoma, I think, has an even better defensive line with Alexander, with Beal, and with English at the ends, as well as with Gerald McCoy at defensive tackle. This is an Oklahoma defensive line that I think is going to be able to get to Harris, and I think that they'll force him to make bad decisions. Overall, I would expect Oklahoma's defensive front to play big in this ballgame. Number 2, the men up front. This is my second key. Oklahoma's offensive line will be tested like they've never been tested before because this Miami defensive front is ferocious. They're going to come in a little bit healthier than they did against Va Tech. Remember, Miami was without several key players, including some defensive linemen, in that loss to Virginia Tech. If those guys come back, look for Miami to really come after Bradford or Jones, whoever the quarterback is. So I think it's so important, if anything, for at least the Oklahoma offensive linemen to open up just enough creases for Murray and for Brown to run the ball. That should really alleviate the pressure from Jones or Bradford, whoever is quarterback in the Sooners. Oklahoma's offensive line, they must step up because this will be a major test for them. Key number 3, win by special means. Miami special teams, we've seen so far, has been bad. Not just because of the block punt that they gave up for a touchdown against the Hokies a week ago, but also they had 2 opportunities to recover 2 Virginia Tech punt muffs, but Va Tech got them both back. So Miami was not opportunistic in that game. And despite beating Georgia Tech, Miami still gave up huge chunks of kickoff return yardage against the Yellow Jackets and missed 2 chip shot field goals. So Oklahoma could have an advantage in this department. Don't be surprised if Ryan Broyles gets a nice run back on a kickoff, could maybe even score a touchdown. This is an area where I think Oklahoma, for once, has a special teams edge. And then finally, welcome to Miami. Key number 4, a big key because this is OU's first true road game of the year. The game at Arlington was not a true road game because that was in front of a Sooner majority crowd. Won't be the case this Saturday when more than 65,000 fans at Landshark Stadium will be rooting for the green and orange of Miami. So OU will have to handle the crowd noise. They'll have to handle the primetime rocky environment. We'll see if they can do that, and we'll see if they can handle the field conditions. Florida Marlins, as of right now, still have not been eliminated from the Major League Baseball playoff race. And remember, the Marlins play in the same stadium too, which means that part of the stadium is covered with dirt. Well, Miami's used to this stadium. We'll see how Oklahoma handles the footing on the grass/dirt field. And keep in mind that if Florida gets eliminated from playoff contention pretty quick, there is still that chance that this field could be covered 100% with grass, which is what you want if you're Oklahoma. Now finally, Miami. Again, I think they'll play a much better game than what they did against Virginia Tech. I think the crowd will really aid them, and I think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. But as long as Oklahoma doesn't make huge mistakes, stays away from the turnover bug, in other words, they can't have more than 2 turnovers in this game, and as long as the defensive line from Oklahoma puts pressure on Ja'Cory Harris and makes him make bad decisions, I like Oklahoma to win, and I like them to win by a slim margin, not to cover, but to win 24-21. This will be a tougher game than any optimistic Sooner fan might think, but I think Oklahoma has just enough. They've played in big games before, more big games than what Miami's played in. I think that'll help them as well. 24-21, the Sooners win and keep what I thought was at one time their bleak national championship hopes very much alive. I thought after the BYU game it was over as far as national championship talk. But Oklahoma, if they can win this game, again, national championship talk is not out of the question for Oklahoma as they get set for rugged Big 12 play. And it should be an interesting Big 12 season. Oklahoma 24, Miami 21. I like the Sooners to end their non-conference schedule on a high note. We'll have the post-game of OU Miami coming up on Sunday. That's it for now. So long.